Good morning. I'm here talking with the fire effects monitoring crew that's been working on the Paradise Fire. Could you guys tell us your names and where you're from?
My name is Cedar Drake, and I work at North Cascades National Park.
I'm Barrett Flynn. I'm a fire effects monitor for the SCA at North Cascades National Park.
And what is SCA, Barrett?
The SCA is a student conservation association, and we're kind of interagency student interns working to just help conserve the environment.
Okay, excellent. So what was your role here on the Paradise Fire?
Barrett and I were working as fire effects monitor on the Paradise Fire, and our task was to hike into the edge of the fire and find a location that is safe to insert fire effects monitoring plots to gather data about the composition and distribution of species in the forest in hopes that we will then return after the area has burned to get a post-burn reading on these.
Okay, a fire effects monitoring plot. So Barrett, what were you measuring?
I primarily measured the litter and duff and content of the soils to kind of get an idea of a fuel loading in it, so you can see how much available fuel is there before the fire comes in, and then after how much fuel is taken away, is consumed.
Okay, so do you guys do this for lots of wildfires? Have you done this before?
Yes, we've done it on a variety of fires in North Cascades over the years. It seems about every 5 years or so when there's a large fire, typically over 400 or 500 acres. If it's possible for us to safely work in those environments, then we will either fly or hike into those areas and install plots as close to the fire as safely possible.
So you've done this a few times. What was the most surprising thing for you about being on this fire?
I think the most surprising thing is just working in a Sitka spruce forest. I've never been in there before. The trees were absolutely enormous. We actually maxed out our diameter tapes for measuring some of the trees. We had one tree that was about 9 foot diameter.
Wow.
And just the beauty in there and the pristine nature of it. Saw really no non-native species the entire trip, and it was just a wonderful place to work.
Great. Barrett, what was the most surprising thing for you?
Looking at the forest above, and kind of our recon, it looked like kind of larger forests, but I didn't really get an idea of it until we went inside, and I had no idea how wild and just massive amounts of growth is in there. They say it's one of the highest biomass concentrations in the world, and I can absolutely see why. You're jumping over giant logs and
bigger than you were?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we went to one of our plots, and the middle of the plot, right next to one of the trees, there's a giant bear claw, and you could see it all the way up and climbing. It was just wild forest, jungle. It was absolutely amazing.
Very cool. Is there anything else you want to share with us about what you did while you're out there?
So Bear was focusing on collecting data about the fuels. I was collecting data about the various layers of the trees out there, so emergent canopy and subcanopy forest. I was also doing percent cover estimates of different layers of vegetation, so we were looking at the herbaceous layer, the shrub layer, getting a percent cover reading on those in different locations. And the whole goal of this is that a year after the fire, next summer, we'll hike into those sites. We'll relocate our plots. We've got rebar established at the center of the plots, and we will perform the same type of measurements that we performed this year in order to get a before and after sense of how the fire burned through these areas. There's been very little research done about wildfires burning in these type of ecosystems, so it's going to be very useful.
So the plots you did weren't actually where it's burned. How close were they to the burned area?
Well, our initial plots were approximately 600 feet from the burn edge. In the first few days that we were in there, the fire was burning quite actively, and we decided to maintain a wide safety barrier. So from that point on, we moved a little bit further away just because the fire was torching actively and getting to a point that we felt like there might be some concern. So for the remaining of the fire, of our time on the fire, we were approximately 1,000 feet from the burning edge.
Okay, very good. Barrett, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think I'd like to emphasize about how this fire, this type of fire, has a really large recurrence interval, which means it doesn't happen that often. I think it's about 500 years. And so it's a really lucky opportunity that we have the chance to go in and collect this data, because we can see, from these large fires, how it affects the forest, and we don't have many opportunities to do that. So I think this data is going to be hopefully very valuable and can help tell us more about how this ecosystem responds to fire.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add, Cedar?
Again, just reiterating what Barrett said. I mean, just an amazing opportunity to be in a fire in this type of ecosystem that burns so rarely, and to have the opportunity to see this place before it burns and the opportunity to go in there afterwards. We did take reference photos at each of our plots as well, so there'll be a lot of visual information to share with researchers and the public as well.
Excellent. And we'll be posting the time-lapse video that you guys brought in of when you were monitoring your plots. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Thank you.